Mick Foley. I've never asked you about Mick, really, in this 4 interviews now that we've done. And obviously yours and Mick's careers started together, intertwined, intersect at various times, and you're associated with each other sort of infinitely throughout time in the wrestling business.
Yeah.
As 2 young guys are probably roughly around the same age, you obviously saw Cactus when he was Cactus, taking these horrific falls, putting his body through all this kind of thing. I'm sure as a fellow young person, you know you have to get noticed one way or another, but did you ever have a word with Mick and just say, even with your experience, you really need to tone this down for your health long term?
Yeah, not so direct as that, but I know when we were younger, this was like a big, we always traveled together, and it was an old silver car that there was more garbage in it. Garbage about halfway up the floorboards, but yeah, newsflash there. Mick ain't the fanciest or neatest guy, but he's an amazing talent, right? I mean, he's a very, very intelligent guy, an amazing talent. Hated the gym, could not stand to go to the gym. And back then, this was land of the giants, right? The bodies. And I would finally yank him into a gym someplace, and he'd sit over there and ride the bike like this. Look around and stare. I don't think you're getting much from that. But boy, he really did make a huge splash, but it really jeopardized his health in doing it. And that bump off in Pittsburgh off the cage, Dominic actually had gone that night. I don't think Mick was aware of that, but he had gone with friends and sat up in the stands, and he of course didn't want to go into the dressing room. He don't get along with Vince either, or didn't for some reason. But when he saw Mick do it, he got pissed. Now, Dominic did not train us differently. He didn't say, okay, Mick, you're going to be the guy that takes the crazy bumps, and Shane, you're going to be the technician and whatever. He trained us all the same. And, to me, my take on it, in my opinion, jeopardizing your health for this business. Again, that to me, the professional side of professional wrestling is we're working people. Working meaning I'm not really killing you, you're not really killing me, and I'm certainly not going to cripple you or me in the process. Top 3 rules when we were breaking into wrestling: take care of your opponent, take care of yourself, take care of each other. And then everything came after that. And yet still injuries could happen. So, doing that, if you watch that bump again, Mick isn't the most graceful guy. And when you jump off something that far and that kind of a distance, gravity's going to grab your ass, right? And when you do, you might be aiming for here and very likely hit here or here. He is less than 12 inches from that railing, the bicycle rack, holding the fans back. Had he hit that going down, without question, he would have been maimed, and quite likely could have, jeopardized his life. And to me, that was just a little bit too far. Now, far be it, he's made a lot of money with that, and I said earlier about like how the other guys, I think before we went on the air, how they must feel. I didn't do that kind of stuff. I was the guy that was like sort of the technician guy. So, I can't even, and I hurt. Like, my knees hurt, my back hurts, my neck hurts. I can't imagine how Mick Foley must feel right now. Just on a day, like an hour-to-hour basis, it's got to be excruciating. And he's made a lot of money for it, but I wonder in the over and under, is it worth that? I have 2 kids, and I still, I've got a 17-year-old still at home. And I've relished being able to go in the backyard and throw the football with them and play Nerf guns with them and stuff like that. I doubt that Mick could do that, at least, to have fun with it because of how he must feel. And then, the whole point of CTE, which I think is incredibly prescient. We didn't know about it then, we do now. And I'm concerned, because you forget where your keys are. Oh my God, there's something wrong. And things like that. I love the guy. We broke in together at a time when if you'd have told us that we were going to both be champions down the road and anybody would even know who the hell we were, we'd have called you crazy, right? And, we had spent a large portion of our careers, early part of our careers, till about the time he was going to the WWF and a bit after that, we would call each other and say, hey, they put me into this angle and they want to do this character with me or whatever. And we would kick stuff back and forth like that. And it had gotten to a point when he went to the WWF and he never was rude or never came off and said, hey, screw you, so you know what you're talking about. It just, somehow became apparent to me that he really didn't want to broach into that. Like, okay, let's talk about the kids and let's talk about the wives and the weather, but let's not talk about that. And so I stayed back out of that. I just saw him last week at the expo. Again, busy, both of us, but the chance to say hello. I don't want to see anything happen to Mick. I don't want to see anything happen to Flair. I don't want to see anything happen to Vince. I sure as hell don't want to see anything happen to me. We've seen plenty of that. And I think it's time for us to all grow older and fatter and wrinklier as we go on. And we can go to these for a lot longer and say hello to each other and give each other a hug.
Yeah, absolutely. And for the Dante Martins and all these wrestlers who are in their 20s doing ridiculous stuff now to get noticed that no one remembers anymore, Mick Foley took unprotected headshots for how many years, Nestia plunges for how many years, Hell in a Cell and other terrible bumps, and he made the most money with a sock puppet. That is the lesson to take.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I know, because I couldn't imagine it then either. There's going to come a point when you're like me, 39 years old, and trailing out of your career. You get up every morning and you got to live in this world. You got to go to the grocery store and go to the airport and do those things. And every step you take, you realize it and you feel it. Take care of your bodies. And it's so important, so critical. Take care of your bodies and be able to get to this point of being the ripe old age of 39 and still throwing the football with your kids.